Okay, so now we're arriving towards the end of our day today with the topic of teas and bitters for calming the mind and soothing the body. And we've already touched on teas earlier in the day with the immune boosting principles. I wanted to circle back, and as we think about closing this day, Solstice, June 20th, and in general, incorporating these herbal principles into our lives, I wanted to touch on bitters, the bitter principle. Now, we likely know of bitters as something that you can add to an alcoholic drink that gives it a certain taste. Bitters are commonly known as digestive aids, and that is very much what they are. Bitters, well, they obviously have a bitter taste, but they're much more than that. And I want to touch on two here that are widely known and easy to consume. And the first one is chamomile. I'll put a picture of chamomile up here now. And well, chamomile is one example of herbal bitters. And so, you know, every bitter has a little bit of a bitter taste in the mouth, and that actually is known to give a direction to our central nervous system. And it leads to the gut giving more digestive hormones. It leads to a whole range of things that happen in our body. And depending on what we're needing, the bitters can trigger a reaction that pulls us into balance. So, for example, if we're sick and we're convalescing, bitters can actually stimulate the appetite if need be. Very often, as I mentioned, as we know, bitters also stimulate the flow of digestive juices in the pancreas, in the liver. So any sort of distorted digestion is one of the reasons why bitters are often used after a large meal. It helps the body to process whatever the body needs to process. It also aids the liver in its work of detoxifying, and it helps bile flow. So in general, we can think of bitters as relating to our digestive health. So there's alcoholic bitters, which I'm going to get to an offering of a couple recipes that I have created. And also I want to touch on the concept of tea. So I mentioned chamomile was a bitter. Another bitter is dandelion root. Dandelion is very commonly known to support cleansing and detoxifying the liver. So both of those, if you wanted to, say, take a tea that would support digestion, I would suggest, if for the calming the mind and soothing the body, chamomile is the most potent plant. Chamomile is so beautiful in the sense that it is so sweet and so soft, to the point that it's recommended for nursing mothers often to drink chamomile, or it's often said to be okay. Take that to your doctor before you do it if you're nursing, but it's one of the few herbs that you can actually take. So that shows you how mild chamomile is, but also it's used when babies have colic. It's used as a post meal drink. It's also used, we know it, to help us go to sleep, to help us be calm. So it's got this wonderful range of offerings energetically. So two teas I would suggest in terms of calming the mind and soothing the body would be chamomile and dandelion root. Dandelion root would be more of a thing if you were seeking to cleanse your digestive system from just on principle. Once a year, I actually in spring will take a week of making myself a dandelion tea every morning, and I sip it through the day. And that's my own super easy cleanse that I do every year, and it feels so freeing and wonderful, and I can feel it clear my GI. So let's move next to the digestive bitters. Here's where things get sort of interesting, and you can feel a little bit like a chemist in the kitchen. So bitters are a form of a tincture. Tincture is, as I've mentioned in an earlier module, tinctures are made with 40 proof alcohol. Herbalists who make tinctures professionally often purchase alcohol that is distilled specifically for the purpose of making tinctures. However, most of what I do, and it's way easier, is just use the 40 proof alcohol that is your preference. Vodka, tequila, rum, gin, all of those things are 40 proof alcohol. You'll want that proof to be high enough so that the alcohol can extract the beneficial components of the plant, and also so that it will store. So that's why you want the alcohol to be, the content to be that high. So let's get to a couple of my favorite recipes. We'll start with something super simple that is one of my favorites. You can see that everything's still in the jar with these two tinctures or digestive aids, bitters, because I am still in the process of allowing these guys to work their magic into the alcohol. When this is ready, I will strain it and then I will rejar it and label it. But this is chamomile, lemon zest, manuka honey, and the alcohol that I used here was rum. And you can imagine, wow, that sounds like that might actually be tasty. And so what we're doing is really waiting for the chamomile to diffuse its magic into here. And lemon zest can be helpful for digestion, can be helpful for balancing the body's pH. And honey was just to taste, because that sounded to me, manuka honey is one of my favorite honeys in terms of medicinal honeys anyway. If you can't get local, manuka is one of my favorites. It actually comes from Australia, but it's got such wonderful medicinal components. So this is manuka honey and rum. And what you would do, you could take a tablespoon of this after dinner, before bed. You could imagine that it would be a lovely, calming, digestive, and sleep aid. So once again, that is, well, I'll put up some recipes so you can see the amount, but you can hopefully see that this is mostly, at this juncture, alcohol. The chamomile is sitting on the bottom, and the lemon zest is sitting on the bottom, but the color is obviously very far from rum. So the plants are working their magic. So this is one of my favorite recipes because it's just so easy and so widely consumable. Many different palates like it. Let's get to my second one. Okay, this one is actually one of my favorites, and also you can see there's actually a ton of stuff in here, and this is probably got another week to set up before I strain it. This tincture is in vodka. I typically use vodka just because it's got a blank flavor profile, to my palate. The rum one was a little bit more sweet, which is why I added honey, and I thought that would be tasty, and it is tasty. This is more medicinal. So this also has agave to help it be a little bit sweet. It's got chamomile. It's got, for calming and digestive, it's got ginger, which is really good for immune boosting. Let me look at the top and make sure I get all these ingredients. Cinnamon, orange peel, lemon peel, and then two interesting ingredients that I want to introduce here, astragalus and long pepper. So long pepper, let's get to long pepper first. I'll put a picture up of what the pepper actually looks like so that you can see it. Also called pipili. It has so many different medicinal benefits, including anti-infection, PMS, weight loss, respiratory disorders, but it promotes digestion is the reason why I threw it in here, because it's known to help one be able to digest food. It also has a boosting effect on the libido, so extra benefits there. And then astragalus, let's get to astragalus. Astragalus comes from TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. It's one of the most widely used immune tonifying herbs. So to tonify the immune system means this also, immune boosting isn't the right thing, but it's an immune supportive so that we have an optimally functioning immune system. It's also a digestive tonic. So in the idea of bitters as digestive, I threw this in here, and it does have a very unique and strong taste. So I like to, when I use astragalus, I like to put it with things that have a very rich flavor profile. So you can imagine the pipili has a little bit of it's not cinnamony, but it's got a kind of smoky cinnamony taste. So this is going to be slightly sweet from the agave, but mostly sort of citrusy and gingery and soothing to the GI. This might be something that you could pour 3 or 4 tablespoons into and take it as your after dinner dessert aperitif. And or as I mentioned in the other digestive recipe, you can take this before you went to bed. The most important thing, so I'll put these 2 recipes up so that you can have a look and see what they look like. But in the idea of making a tincture, a bitters is a form of a tincture. We are getting the medicinal components of the plant, extracting them via alcohol. So you can do your own research and figure out which, and you can Google bitters recipes. There's a million of them out there. What things do you have? What things resonate for you? What things you think actually taste good? These 2 offerings that I've shared are things that I've used over the years, and I just love the rum and chamomile and honey one because it actually tastes really lovely, and it helps me sleep, and it helps after a meal to digest. Just a tablespoon is all you need, and then the one that includes long pepper and astragalus and all the other yummy things. For me, that feels, I use it throughout the year, but I love it in the winter. I kind of replace the simpler one when I'm doing immune fighting routines. I will actually do the more complex bitters to support my immune system and to support my body being able to live in a complex and wonderful environment. So hopefully this is helpful and inspiring. And while you may not have all of that ready to do this evening as we head towards close of Solstice, consider chamomile tea. Most of us probably have that in our cupboard. That might be a lovely way to work with an herb and have a wonderful, relaxing, calming solstice evening. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Much love.